You know that feeling when you inherit a code base and it feels less like a software project and more like an archaeological dig? Yeah, you're not alone. Today, we're going to dive into these brownfield projects, those legacy systems that are the absolute backbone of a business, but also, let's be honest, the source of our biggest headaches. But what if there was a better way to handle them?
Seriously, just think about that for a second. That one critical repository that everyone's afraid to touch, do you really know what's going on inside? Every single dependency, every undocumented feature, what would happen if you had to push a major change tomorrow? That little feeling of dread, that's what we're here to talk about.
It's kind of like being handed the keys to this huge, centuries-old mansion, but you've got no blueprints, not a single one. You know there's incredible value in there somewhere, but every single step you take feels like a huge risk. You're not just navigating a maze of code, you're trying to figure out decisions made by people you've never even met for reasons you can only guess at. And this is the day-to-day reality for so many of us, right? You've got critical features that are complete black boxes, hidden dependencies that can turn a simple fix into an absolute disaster. Onboarding new developers takes months instead of weeks. And then there's that constant low-level fear of refactoring because you have no idea what you might accidentally break. It's basically a state of architectural paralysis.
Okay, but what if you could do more than just tiptoe through that maze? What if you could flip on a giant floodlight, illuminate every dark corner, and just automatically generate the blueprints you've been missing this whole time? Well, this is where ArchFlow's Brownfield mode completely changes the game. It's all about turning that chaos into clarity.
So here's what makes ArchFlow so incredibly powerful. It doesn't just scan your code, it genuinely understands it. You just hook it directly into your Git repository, and it uses the AI from GitHub Copilot to reverse engineer your entire architecture. The AI isn't just looking at file names, it's parsing syntax, it's identifying design patterns, and it's tracing dependencies to build a real model of how your system actually works. And the result, you get a complete structured set of architectural documents that look like they were written on day one. And listen, the difference here is night and day. Just forget about spending weeks manually reading code, trying to hunt down the original developers who might not even be at the company anymore, and just making a ton of educated guesses. With ArchFlow, you're looking at an automated evidence-based process that takes hours or days, not weeks or months. The efficiency gain is just staggering.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this actually work? It's not magic, but honestly, it's pretty close. Let's walk through the structured, repeatable process that ArchFlow uses to pull off this automated architectural dig.
So it all kicks off with a simple command right inside Copilot. You point ArchFlow at your repository, and boom, it's off to the races. It scans everything, languages, frameworks, dependencies, even your git ignore file. But here's where it gets really smart. ArchFlow doesn't just guess. It actually comes back and asks you questions to clarify things it's unsure about, which makes the final documents it extracts incredibly accurate.
That clarify step? That's the secret sauce. This isn't about just letting some AI run wild and hoping for the best. It's about a partnership. You should think of ArchFlow like a brilliant but maybe a bit inexperienced architect. It can do all the heavy lifting, surveying the entire building, but it needs your expert knowledge to really understand the nuances and make the right calls. And this is a perfect example of how smart ArchFlow is. It sees a data directory in your git ignore, and it immediately asks a critical architectural question. Are we dealing with local data sets here, or are we connecting to an external data warehouse? I mean, your answer totally changes the data model, and ArchFlow is smart enough to ask you before it makes a really costly assumption.
And get this, you can think of this as a bouncer at a club. ArchFlow will not let you get to the extraction phase until you've answered at least 90% of its critical clarification questions. It's a built-in quality gate that stops you from generating documentation based on a bunch of faulty assumptions.
But of course, the big question is, how can you actually trust the output of an AI? That's a totally fair question, and ArchFlow has a great two-part answer: confidence levels and quality gates. Let's break those down.
ArchFlow is completely transparent about what it finds. Every single piece of information it pulls out is tagged with a confidence level. High means it found a smoking gun, like an infrastructure as code file. Medium means it's making a really educated guess based on things like your code's naming conventions. And low means it's taking a bit of a shot in the dark. This way, you know exactly where you need to focus your human review.
And then you have these quality gates. These act like checkpoints on your journey to total architectural clarity. You literally can't move on to the next stage until you've properly completed the current one. It's a simple but super effective way to enforce a comprehensive, step-by-step process, and it guarantees you don't end up with a half-baked blueprint.
Now, this is where ArchFlow really truly shines, because it's not just about understanding the past, it's about giving you the tools to build a much better future. ArchFlow gives you a clear, actionable blueprint for modernizing your application and unlocking all that hidden potential.
And it doesn't just stop at documentation. With a couple of optional commands, ArchFlow can generate a prioritized tech debt register, propose actual migration plans as ADRs, and even spin up a timeline and a risk assessment for the whole modernization effort. I mean, just imagine walking into your next big planning meeting with a complete, data-driven roadmap to transform your legacy system. That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
So you go from this place of fear and total uncertainty to a place of confidence and clarity. You go from a messy, intimidating folder of code that nobody wants to touch to a clean, structured, and fully documented architectural library. Everything's laid out, it's understood, and it's ready for whatever comes next.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. What if we've been looking at legacy code all wrong? What if it's not a liability that we have to manage, but an asset that's just waiting to be unlocked? With the right tools, that old, messy system could be the foundation for your next big competitive advantage. The only question is, are you ready to go unlock it?